Okay, guys, you're live on Facebook and on Zoom.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Chris. And welcome to the Tuesday, May 5th, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. We had an executive session for an hour where we made some great progress that we'll be talking about on air at this point. But our first order of business is the town COVID-19 update. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The update, Governor Mills's orders, we've been fending a lot of emails and calls by all departments, and it's been unusually busy this past week with those emails and calls on questions by seasonal homeowners or lodging homeowners as to whether or not they can come up, or basically they want to know what the laws and orders are of the governor. So we've put together a simple email back to them to say, look at the frequently asked questions under the Maine CDC, and we supply the link to that, and also her opening plan, the 4 stages plan. So within the last week, I would say we've had a couple hundred requests, and so we'll keep doing that. My guess is it's going to continue until everyone understands what's going on. Now, with that said, the governor does have a commissioner of economic development who is reviewing all of the rules and regulations that are part of this plan, and she is making fine-tuning adjustments as we go forward. Our town attorney has put into a pipeline through the Maine Municipal Association questions that will be asked when the Maine Municipal Association meets with the commissioner. And so those questions pertain to quarantine. And what does quarantine mean when someone comes into the state of Maine? Quarantine under the CDC Maine frequently asked questions means you're going to be in your abode, wherever it is, for 14 days. And you better have supplies with you because you cannot leave. Now, quarantine in that sense is one thing, but quarantine when you come up into Maine and stay for a few days is another thing. And that's what we're trying to get straightened out as to what her definitions are going to be going forward with quarantine. With that said, we are also looking at the different aspects of short-term rentals. We've been working with some property owners that have short-term rentals. We're indicating what we may be doing with a ordinance, which has a public hearing next week. And we've been working with Leah, our town attorney, on making sure that the ordinance that's coming out complies with the other ordinances in the state that some of the other cities and towns have, but also with this host program that we'll be subscribing to. We are continuing as employees and staff of the town to work towards a plan to reopen our facilities. We have that pretty well finished. We will be having a reorientation of staff to how operations will be under COVID-19. That will be coming up. We'll have more on this next week. But with all that said, we are trying to make the public aware that town hall has its limitations in size and the ability of letting so many people in at once. And we're moving towards an appointment process for people to make appointments to do whatever it is that they need to do. We have, for example, through May, over 4,500 car registrations from February that need to be re-registered in some manner. We encourage people to do it online. It's a 5 to 10 minute process, and it is a fairly easy process to do, and it will take the work out of you standing in line or coming into town hall with a face mask and everything. If you can just get yourself a computer or do it through some other means to do it online. Now, for new cars and private sales and commercial, you're going to have to come into town hall or go to the registry, which is not open. It may get open in June, but I would urge people to do whatever service you need to do with town hall. First, look to see if you can do it online. And then if you cannot, come and make an appointment to come into town hall. We are continuing our collaboration with the different communities in the area. We have been working for several weeks now on a weekly basis, talking to New Hampshire towns down to Seabrook, all the way up to Bar Harbor. And we've made some good progress, but I think the time has come to look at the beaches, and I'll turn it over to the chair.
Earlier, we had an executive session. Part of our discussions there were the possibility of when to reopen the beaches. We had a lot of good feedback, and what we have decided and come to fruition on is to Monday, the 11th of this month, we will be reopening the beaches in town on a consensus of all 5 selectmen. It will be for walking purposes only, along with swimming, surfing, and fishing. It gives some teeth into the possibility that the enforcement issues addressed. That gives the chief and her officers the opportunity to take care of situations as they arise. But at this point in time, we all feel that it's time to get out. Social distancing and all the factors are critically important. Again, it's up to the individuals to maintain the civility amongst people and understand that this is still a pandemic. We're doing what we can with what we have to work with under the guise of the restrictions coming from the governor's office in their executive orders. We will be voting tonight to reopen the beaches starting the 11th. It's also, it doesn't give our highway people an awful lot of time to remove barriers on the right-of-ways, to put matting down, to get trash barrels put out. So please understand that this is going to be a work in progress. We're looking for initially to recommend Casino Square and maybe the Atlantic, the parking lot at the end where the bathrooms are down the end of Atlantic Ave as your entrance and exit points until we can get those right-of-ways situated and cleaned up. If there's any other comments, I'll take from the board, but if not, I'll take a motion from Kate.
Mr. Chairman, I'll wait till the vote, and then I'd like to talk about beach stickers.
Okay,
Okay, you ready for the motion?
please.
I make a motion that we open the beaches in Wells to fishing, walking, swimming, and surfing on May 11th, Monday. And they would be open during the, well, okay, and then they're going to be open during the regular time.
Tim, if you second that, you're muted.
Tim, you muted?
Second.
You're not second, okay.
Second, thank you.
Thank you. Like,
Any
wait.
further discussion?
No, we're very happy to do this.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you. John, you want to talk about stickers?
Yeah, the taxpayer beach sticker program is now online through our website. Through the good work that Jody Sanborn, our finance director, has done with our decal program, people can go online and order their beach stickers for their vehicles. It is a fairly simple program. It shouldn't take you very long to upload what is needed. Once that is authorized, the decal company will send you your sticker, and it will have your license plate already imprinted onto the sticker, and you place the sticker on your vehicle, and you're good for 2020. But for the period of time that we're opening the beaches from May 11th through Memorial Day, to the start of Memorial Day weekend, there is no need for meter pay or stickers in our parking lots. But after this, well, the Saturday of Memorial Day, that's when the stickers will be enforced and the meters will be operational.
Great, thank you. Anything else from the selectmen at this point in time? Well, that's good news, John.
Well, the good news, the beaches are open on Monday.
On Monday, yes.
I think the good news is that there's a whole lot of people helping others in the community. There is always comments made that I hear that people are lending a hand where people are down, and we see that in the donations that we are receiving. And so our community, like so many other communities, are trying to do what they can to help others. And if we're not reaching you in your time of need, let us know, and we'll find a way to assist you.
Anything else?
Yeah, can I just say a shout out to the restaurants that have been helping the seniors in the senior center. They are putting out anywhere from 50 to 80 meals a day. Mondays and Thursdays, it's Stonewall Kitchen. Tuesdays, it's Billy's Chowder House, and Fridays, it's Variety. So I really want to say thank you to them, and it is such a great thing that they're doing this for the seniors.
What does it cost?
Appreciate it.
Give me-
I have a couple of things that good news. We had a couple of big things happen. If you didn't see it on Facebook, this little thing I started where I was giving away gift certificates and stuff to different people. I've given them to Kathy, Kendra Fowler, right? Is that her name? Sorry.
Yep, Kendra Fowler, yes. Yep.
And a few other people, but it took a life of its own also when the other day I got a call from a former football player who, Pat Caston, who's doing fairly well in his new life, and he working, and he said he got a bonus and he'd like to help out, and came down. I pretty sure it was over $2,000. I would assume by the time we got it, Chiefs, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it was about $2,000 in gift certificates to every police and fireman. He gave him $50 gift certificates to a bunch of only Wells restaurants. So he spread the wealth all around in the restaurants and gave gift certificates to all the police and fire. You know, the Howards have given me some today. I know Julie Stevens came over with 8 to the school to give away to teachers, and families for appreciation. Just people are jumping on buying gift certificates to help the restaurants out, and it's awesome. I know, I'm sure Sean would be better talking about him and his fiance. I hate that word for some reason, but fiance have started a Project Stimulus, hashtag Wells Maine, I think it's called. That is exploded beyond what we thought it could be. I think what he thought it could be. He's the one that did it. I don't want to take any credit. It was him and Emily, but he might want to talk about it real quick. But it's just nice to see in the small community people trying to help each other out in many ways. So
Yeah, I'll take it from there. So Project Stimulus Wells Maine, we're going to have an info night Friday night at 8 p.m. this coming Friday. We'll explain all of the details, have a live question and answer on Facebook Live. You can like our page, join our group on Facebook. And really what it's all about is giving back to the businesses that have always been the first ones to step up when the community needs something. And now it's our turn to give back to them in their time of need right now. So what we're doing is we're collecting baskets from both businesses and individuals who would like to donate baskets. Any business that donates a basket to this event will receive a portion of the proceeds. And every penny of the proceeds is going to go back to those participating businesses. So any individuals that can donate a basket or donate any money to this, all of that money is going to go straight to these businesses that are participating. And I think it's going to be a really fun event. The actual basket raffle is going to be on June 18th at 8 p.m. So over the next month, we'll be collecting more and more baskets. We already have over 50 baskets. We just announced this thing on Friday. And we have about 30 businesses that have said they're going to participate. We've reached out to almost all the businesses in town. But if you're listening and we haven't reached out to you or you haven't heard about it, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or email or call me, and I'd be happy to give you details because we really want everyone that would like to participate to be able to.
I know an awesome painter that might want to do a painting just in honor of the.
Who might that be?
I don't know. I just.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, Kathy. I didn't mean to put you on.
Well, I probably shouldn't assume you're talking about me, but.
I don't think there's anyone else in here, but.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay, if nothing else, we'll move on to open to the public. I think Brittany probably has a few questions, but before we start the questions, Jim LaPola, I see you're on tonight. If you want to unmute, do you have something you'd like to share with the folks at home? Are you on, Jim?
He's muted right now, isn't he? Yeah.
I think he's frozen. He hasn't moved.
Wow, that's pretty good. I didn't know you could do that. Look how long he can not blink.
Wow. All right, we'll get back to Jim a little bit later. For the next 15 minutes, we'll take questions from folks. There'll be a second opportunity later on, but we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Brittany, as always, you'll do a great job trying to consolidate those questions.
Yes. We had a few questions about whether or not the beaches are open.
Chris, is that call?
Or can you guys hear me?
I think she's trying to say something.
We
Brittany?
can hear her.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys can, all right. There were multiple questions about whether or not the beaches are open for Maine residents only or both Maine residents and out-of-staters.
They're open.
Okay. Next question. There were a few on this note. Did we coordinate this opening with Ogunquit or surrounding states? There is some concern that opening the beaches will bring in an influx of out-of-state visitors just coming up for the weekend to stroll the beach. Is there a plan for this?
Well, the town manager will be in concert with all the other town managers, as he said, from up and down the Maine coast as far south as Hampton Beach and town of Rye. So everyone will be on board with what's going on. As of tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock or so, I believe your meeting is, John?
Yes. We'll make them aware that both York and town of Wells will be opening up mid-May, and for us it will be May 11th. And York, we're not quite sure what date that is, but it's maybe a week later. Old Orchard Beach has always been open, but they've added the French fries and the outdoor eateries. So it sounds like they're doing something different, but So slowly the coastline is opening up. It's really unfortunate that we couldn't coordinate. New Hampshire is controlled by the governor down there in their beach access, whereas we individually in Maine, the different towns are responsible for their beaches. So it was nice to think we could coordinate all this, but in reality, I think time has marched on and we need to do something.
I think then all of them are not that far behind us anyway. Some have already been open, and then we understand that some of them are going to open in mid-May, right, John?
Yes.
Just so, I just got a message from somebody saying, can we repeat the questions? Because for some reason they're not hearing Brittany. I hear her, but I guess the public isn't.
Yeah, I can.
Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
The public can't?
We can all hear you.
You want me to repeat it or just?
No, I mean, they're saying the only one they can't hear is Brittany, I guess. I don't know why, but.
We didn't,
The question, I believe, was if you don't coordinate all these openings, will it be a cluster and impact wells? And I think the answer was that other towns are opening up at this point, and the cluster, yes, it will come up, but it's May and wells, and we're asking people to continue walking and exercising on the beach and not sitting and sunbathing.
Some people are writing in that they can hear me, so I'll just ask the question, and if the board wants to reiterate, I guess that's the best approach. How do we plan to police the beaches to ensure that there are no gatherings of 10 or more people and that proper social distancing is adhered to?
Well, it's going to be difficult. We do not usually this early in May have patrols down there. I think with the police chief aware of this, we will have different officers go down through the right-of-ways and take a look and see how crowded it might be. My guess is that Monday through Friday, it will not be that crowded. Saturday and Sunday, it will. And we'll have to take a look at the parking lots and judge our response.
Look, the other thing is, the idea behind this is to open the beach so people can go for a walk. We've been hearing about this since we closed the beaches. There's a lot of people saying, well, all the out-of-staters that come up. Well, that's still not under the governor's plan. So we're following the governor's plan. We're open the beach. If you're here, you can walk the beach. It doesn't mean everybody can drive up here to go walk the beach. We're not saying that. I see that. But we can't say out-of-staters because we're not going to ID people. That's not. This is one person's opinion, I guess I should say when I say this. We're not going to, ID people before they go on the beach. But we're also not. We're saying that the governor's orders are still in effect. Period. We can't do anything about the governor's orders right now. So that.
Right. But the beaches we have control over.
Right. We can open the beach to the people that are here and able to walk on the beach. You're not supposed to drive up here. So, but that's been the way it's been for months. So.
A few people are asking about the 14-day quarantine for out-of-staters and just whether or not that needs to be in play before anyone from out of state can access the beach.
Leah, do you want to take this one?
Sure. If you're looking at the governor's reopening plan, it's 4 stages. In the introduction to stage 1, which is May 1st, and in the introduction to stage 2, that's June 1st, it makes very clear that the 14-day quarantine on people entering Maine is still in effect. And so, you know, the hypothetical that was raised about people coming in from out of state to use the beach and then leave, that would be a clear violation of the governor's order. What the law is one thing, enforcement is another, but the fact remains that the quarantine order is still in effect. If you are coming into this town or this state from out of state, the order is that you must quarantine for 14 days.
On that note, there are questions about what happens if you don't quarantine.
I can also answer that. I'm not going to say in every particular case what happens if you don't, but what I will say is that, again, the governor's order makes it very clear that it is a Class E crime. To violate any of the orders, punishable by $1,000 or 6 months in jail, and it is enforceable by law enforcement officers and a host of other folks in town who have the ability to issue and enforce licensing and permitting requirements.
And on the topic of enforcement, will Wells Police enforce the governor's orders that are in place? Not just related to the beach.
I don't think they have a choice.
I mean,
They don't have any areas related to the beach. The governor didn't close the beaches.
Right.
I'll just say that
I think it was
The
in
social
place.
distancing and that stuff, I don't know if that's what they're looking at, Leah.
No, I think they meant not related to the beach, but the orders that are in place now is Wells PD enforcing that.
Yes.
If necessary, yes.
Yes.
Leah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have something else to add to that?
no, the chief certainly has. I would listen to her more than me.
Is quarantine only required for stage 1 and 2, or is it also a requirement under stage 3?
I am looking at the order, not the order, excuse me, the Restarting Maine's Economy Stage 3. It says that the 14-day quarantine on people entering Maine is also in effect. Now, I will say that at the press conference introducing this plan and all throughout the document, it is made clear that while these are the current mandates and not just recommendations, but mandates, that it is somewhat fluid depending upon the science and what's happening at any given time. So at this moment, as far as I know, stage 3, July and August, that 14-day quarantine is in effect. However, as I'm hearing that, this may change depending upon what testing is available, depending on the science, but at this moment, yes, it is in effect for July and August as well.
And on the same note of quarantine, are you allowed to go to Hannaford or go get essentials while you're quarantining?
No. You're confined to the living space that you're in, and you should have brought whatever you need to sustain that 14 days with you.
Going back to the beaches, is there an action plan in the case that opening up the beaches does cause an influx of out-of-staters, or is there a backup plan in case our rules are not being followed and perhaps there's more sickness in the town from it? Lots of questions on that.
Well, I think as we talked earlier, it's for walking, fishing, surfing, swimming. If people are congregating on the beaches or setting up tents or having fires or congregating in groups of 10, have the authority of the police department to be able to go down and move those people on. As with anything and everything, whether it's enforceable or not, it still comes down to individuals and their decision-making as to whether or not they want to wash their hands, sneeze in their arm, social distance, wear masks where appropriate. It really comes down to the individual, and it doesn't really matter whether it's an executive order from the governor or not, whether or not it's enforceable. It is enforceable. If you get caught up in it, it could cost you $1,000 or 6 months in jail. But the reality of it is, that's the reality. It's up to the individual to do the right thing, period. There's nothing else to say about it. You're either going to do it or you're not.
For Mainers that work in Maine, but are not from Maine, would they need to quarantine if they're essential, or are they exempt?
If they're essential, they don't have to quarantine. How can they quarantine?
They're exempt, but I'm not sure what you mean if they're in Maine already.
I think if they live out of state and work in Maine, I think that was the question.
I think that in the governor's order, she defines what essential workers are, and that, you know, there's a big difference between being an essential worker who comes into the state and those who are looking to come to second seasonal residences.
Okay. There are a lot of questions still about when people can come to their seasonal campsite, or when they can access their property. So I don't know if it's worth going over that again, but there are multiple questions about that. It seems like there's still some confusion on the phased approach and when people are allowed to come in to the state or the town.
Well, we're in the phased programs where we see the first availability for them to come in for Maine residents is June 1st. And for those that quarantine at that time.
Another question on quarantine. Can you quarantine out of state?
No.
Lots of questions on when the town hall will be open.
We are planning probably in mid-May to open up. We'll have more information next Tuesday as to its opening. We encourage people, as I said earlier in the program, to do things online, to get their services online, because unfortunately town halls, in order to re-engineer ourselves here, there will be a process to come into town hall. There's only enough room to do transactions of 2 to 3 in the general office where you re-register cars and pay taxes. And then there's only one person allowed in each of the other offices at a time. So we do have an appointment program going up onto the website where you can register to come in and get your time slot. We'll be staging people outside town hall. We're doing a reorientation for our staff in a week or so. And we have a drop box outside of town hall by the middle door for people, and it's heavily being used now, for people to drop off applications, building permits, payments for taxes, payments for arranged motor vehicle re-registrations, and the like. So it is getting used heavily. As I said earlier, we have 4,500 vehicle registrations in the can that need to be re-registered. And we're going to try to process these as fast as we can. But with the limitations that we have, we encourage you to go online and do it yourselves. And when we're open, we will certainly help you out. But for commercial, new registrations and private sales, those are the folks that need to come into town hall and get their vehicle registered, because that can't be done online. We have a election coming up, July 14th. It will be heavily absentee balloted, we believe. You can get your absentee ballot application online. And I would encourage people to start doing that so that the town clerk can start fulfilling that once the ballot is ready to be mailed.
Thank you, John. Brittany, I'm going to cut the questions off at this point in time. So
Okay.
you folks at home continue your questions to her. She will consolidate them, and during our second open to the public, we'll continue. Jim Lapola, are you on at this point? Did you want?
Yeah.
Jim is our WEMS director. Jim, did you want to kind of have a public service announcement?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I just wanted to bring up one issue that seems to be coming. We're seeing a slight uptick in people that are really, really sick, and they're needing to go to the hospital. They're accessing the 911 system, and they're waiting. They're waiting sometimes days before they do. And they're fearful that they're going to get the virus. They're going to get it in the ambulance, or they're going to get it in the emergency rooms. And I just wanted to assure people that live in Wells or people that live elsewhere, your EMS providers are all trained for this. They're all taking the necessary precautions. The hospital emergency departments are right on top of this.
I know.
Oh,
He does that a lot.
I do it a lot. Maybe if I go out here.
Jim, I hate to tell, I told you so.
And that's basically all I wanted to say, is that the emergency departments have, York Hospital, Southern Maine Healthcare, and Maine Medical Center all have plans in place. We have different entrances to go into if we have a positive or potential COVID patient versus our normal patients. So it's not a public health emergency yet, but people that are waiting, that shouldn't be waiting to access the system, I just want to assure everybody that the system is trained, the system is safe, and if you need to seek help, you should not hesitate to do so. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
Good point. Thank you, Jim.
Anything from anyone else at this point? Moving on to current agenda items, we have review and action on accounts payable and payroll warrant. John.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have two warrants this evening. The treasurer's warrant dated today, May 5th, 2020, $298,276.92. There's two pay periods since we last met. The first, or last time we did payroll, the first pay period is dated April 23rd, 2020, $77,543.36. The second pay period dated April 30th, 2020, net $76,134.78. The withholding for those two periods, $61,835.58, for a total of $513,790.64.
Any questions on the warrant? Take a motion.
I move to approve and sign the warrant dated May 5th, 2020, in the amount of $513,790.64.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
Second warrant this evening is a general assistance warrant of $1,600.
I move to approve and sign the warrant dated May 5th, 2020, in the amount of $1,600.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
5-0 again. Thank you. Next is update, discussion, and action on committees, projects, issues, purchases, and personnel, with the first being a discussion and action on awarding the site plan development for the public safety communication tower at the Public Works Route 9 location site. The town planner, on behalf of the police department, issued a request for proposals development of a site plan for the proposed public safety communication tower to be located behind the Public Works garage, parcel map 40-lot 9. Proposals were submitted. High was Walsh at $20,850, and the low bid was Civil Consultants at $7,975. If there's no questions, I'll take a motion.
I got one question.
Yep.
Civil Consultants, are they the one that we used for the Gregoire parcel?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
they're not.
Okay. All right. No, that was my only question. I couldn't remember who that was.
I move to award the request for proposal for the development of a site plan for the proposed public safety communication tower to civil consultants for the price of $7,975, with funds to come from the tower CIP Fund 0742.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0 again, thank you. Next item will be tabled. Do we need a motion on that?
No. No.
Okay,
You just skip
thank
it.
you. We're moving on then to discussion and action on the filling of the recent Wellsville Community School District Wellsville School Board member vacancy. Kathy?
Oh, I thought, Tim, did you want to do this?
Or Tim, I'm sorry, Tim.
So the, what we'll do is we'll just wait on this until after, because we got the room from the lawyer that you couldn't put in the July election, and they only have one meeting left, so we'll just wait until after the summer to fill the, let them figure out how to fill it.
So we don't need any action on it?
No,
Nope, good.
Great, thank you, Tim. Next item, discussion and action to approve the quitclaim deeds for the following property that had a foreclosure date of February 27th, 2020. 6-day buyback period for the property ended April 27th, 2020. Property is Diane Bosvert, property known as parcel number 006/039-000. Payment was received fiscal year 18 on March 3rd, 2020, and fiscal year 19 taxes on April 24th, 2020. The quitclaim deed releases the lien filed in book and page 1787/647. Next property is Douglas N. Harding. Property is known as parcel number 0147/003-000. Payment was received to pay fiscal year 18 on April 21st, 2020. The quitclaim deed releases a lien filed in book and page 17787/729. Next is Roy and Ann Smith. Property is known as parcel number 0134/051-000. Payment was received to pay fiscal year 18 and a portion of fiscal year 19 on April 27th, 2020. The quitclaim deed releases the lien filed in book and page 17787/835. Take a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the quitclaim deeds to release the liens on the properties listed before us.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0, thank you. Next item is discussion and action to approve release deeds for the following. We have Schaefer, property is known as parcel number 013-057-001.5. Tax lien filed on September 17th, 2008. A discharge or quitclaim deed was never filed at the Registry of Deeds. Tax show there are no outstanding taxes due on the property. Releases lien filed in book and page 1491/0034. Is Patricia E. Schaefer. Property is known as parcel 0103/057-01.6. Tax lien was filed on September 17th, 2008. Discharge or quitclaim deed was never filed. Tax records show there are no outstanding taxes due on the property, and the deed releases the lien filed in book and page 1591/0035. Next is Jeff Weston and Elena Klugman. Property is known as parcel number 0103/057-00326. Tax lien was filed on September 17th, 2008. Quitclaim deed was never filed at the registry. Tax records show there are no outstanding taxes due on the property. The release and deed releases a lien filed in book and page 15491/0036. Last, we have Francis Asud and Sophie Vali Smejda. Property is known as parcel number 0103/057-007.21. Tax lien was filed September 17th, 2008. Discharge or quitclaim deed was never filed at the Registry of Deeds. Tax records show there are no outstanding taxes due on the property. This releases the deed lien filed in book and page 15491/0037. Take a motion, please.
I move that the board approve and sign the release deeds to release the liens on the properties listed above.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0 again, thank you. Next, we have discussion and action on updates, personnel and committee assignments, resignations, and issues. It's nothing from the town manager for tonight. Under the Board of Selectmen, we have the reappointment of Brian Toomey as a regular Budget Committee member, term to expire April 2023.
I move that we reappoint Brian Toomey as a regular member to the Budget Committee with term to expire April 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0 again, thank you. Next is the reappointment of Marissa Caputo as a regular member to the Budget Committee, term to expire April 2023.
I move that we reappoint Marissa Caputo as a regular member to the Budget Committee with term to expire April 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0 again, thank you. Next, we have discussion and action on accepting donations and bequests, with the first being a $100 donation from Gary Wolf towards the memory of his wife to the Town of Wells Concert Series Fund.
I move that we accept the generous donation and write a letter of thanks to the donor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0 again, thank you. Next is discussion and action on approving the minutes of the April 28th, 2020 Selectmen's meeting. Any corrections or additions need to be made?
I move for approval of the April 28th, 2020 Selectmen's meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0 again, thank you. Another good job, Cindy, thank you.
Yep.
Next, we're on to new business. For the second time, we are open to the public. We have some more questions. Is there any other business
can we
that
just-
needs to be done?
Before we go into, this might alleviate some of the questions. Can we go back over the phases? Because I think that's where the biggest confusion comes, because I think the confusion is on June 1st or whatever, June 2nd, some things can open. Can out-of-staters come and quarantine for 14 days? Can, there's a lot of confusion on that. And I think we can skip some of the questions if we answer how these phases work again. I apologize. I know we do this, but I do want to remind everyone in those, Kathy went over this 2 weeks in a row, that if you, in those, they're not residences, they're under lodging. That your campgrounds, your three-season cottages are under lodging in Wells. They're not residences, they're lodging. So that's the difference. When you get a lawyer's opinion on residence and a lawyer's opinion, you have to consider it's lodging. But now if Leo or someone could go over the phases and how that's gonna work on June 1st or June 2nd, whatever that date is, when things can start to open. Sorry, Leah, to put you on the spot, but you're muted.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Hear me now? Yep. Sorry, folks. I know this is going to sound a bit robotic, but I am going to read some of this, lest there be any confusion. Not that there isn't anyway. So as of right now, as of May 1st, there are very limited things which the governor has said we can start to reopen. Lodging is not one of them. I won't go through, unless, Tim, you want me to go through each and every one of those things, but it seems like the real crux of the questions are with respect to lodging. Is that
Right,
fair?
I think the question, the biggest question that I've heard and seen is that on June 1st, we open lodging to Maine residents. And then it says, and if you 14-day quarantine. The confusion, I think, is who's in that and when you 14-day, the out-of-staters can come?
Yes, and I'm going to read directly. This is a direct quote, okay? This is stage 2, as of June 1st. In the hospitality business, it talks about restaurants, of course, requiring that they meet all the checklists and they are doing all of the social distancing and CDC requirements. But here's with respect to lodging. It says exactly this. Lodging, parentheses, open to Maine residents and out-of-state residents who have completed quarantine guidelines. So as of June 1st, folks who are Maine residents, they can come, they can occupy their lodgings. They do not need to quarantine. If they are coming from out of state, then they must complete those quarantine guidelines as John went through earlier. This is not, I think I saw in the chat, if I'm quarantining, can I go to the beach? If I'm quarantining, can I go to Hannaford's? Under the FAQs On the COVID-19 website, it talks about what quarantine is. It requires you to come with all of your supplies. You are not going to the beach. You are not going to Hannaford's. You are expected to quarantine in your lodgings with all of the supplies that you will need for that 14-day period. Does that answer the question, Tim?
I think it does. It does for me.
Leah, there are questions of if people come into the state and they complete the 14-day quarantine, but they have to make a day trip out of the state, you know, whether it's to go to a store in New Hampshire or a doctor's appointment or whatever, do they have to then start that quarantine over when they re-enter the state?
No. What they do need is to buy their booze before they come here.
Can I just add something real quick to the lodging order? I just saw it pop up, and I know we've gone over this a couple of times, but in the town of Wells, the seasonal campgrounds and some of these Three Seasons places are zoned as lodging. So in Wells, they are, and they were only allowed to be built because of that. So just wanted to put that out there as a matter of fact.
And just to piggyback on what John said, that is absolutely true, but also understand that not just in the town of Wells, in the governor's order herself, it specifically references RVs and campsites as lodgings. So that's not just in Wells, that's the governor's order as well.
And when you, Leah, just so I understand, or that others understand, when you said on June 2nd, whatever date that is, sorry, that includes when they say 14 days, if you wanted to go to stay in a hotel from Massachusetts, you could go stay at a hotel in Wells, as long as you quarantine for 14 days. I know that seems, or a cottage or something like that, right?
Correct. And lodging, again, is broadly defined as inns and, you know, motels and hotels and all of those things we traditionally think of as lodgings. Campsites, seasonal cottages that is I think a unique creature to Wells, but all of those things, it says, it's confusing. It says stage 2, but it's June 1st, that lodgings, as I define them, open to Maine residents and out-of-state residents who have completed the quarantine guidelines. Yes, as of June 1st. At this point.
Right.
I just want to make a quick comment. I've seen a lot of stuff about the beaches. I saw someone ask, why did we have a discussion in executive session beforehand? Why was the decision made in secret? It was not. We voted out in public how we felt on it. And the reason we have to go into executive session is so we can consult with our town attorney to make sure we're doing things properly, and that things are legally written well, so that we don't have any loopholes and people breaking our rules or trying to evade them, which would then make these rules that we're passing unsafe if we leave loopholes in them. And the second point on the beaches is to the people complaining about us opening them and we're going to take liability for people getting sick. Public parks are open, trails are open right now, and they have been, and they've been fine. If you social distance, then it is recommended that you get outside and exercise. The beach is a great place for that because there's plenty of space to spread out. In Wells, we're blessed with miles and miles of beaches, so we have plenty of space for people to spread out. And it's not going to create a flood of people coming in here because you're only allowed to go to the beach if you pass all of the other guidelines that the governor has set out. So there's a limited amount of people here right now to be able to go to the beach. So you can't come to Maine to escape your quarantine in your state and go to the beach. You would be breaking the governor's orders. So there's already rules in place that are establishing who can and cannot go to the beach. So it's not going to be a flood of people coming in just to sit on the beach, because you can't sit on the beach in general. It's for walking, strictly for exercising, getting out and escaping.
Brittany, do you have other questions that need to be answered?
Yes. So here's a question. If we're coming from out of state, the quarantine needs to be completed before staying in a lodging facility or a hotel? I think that's a clarification question.
Well, the problem is lodging is a hotel, and lodging is not available until, what is it, July?
I thought we just clarified that they could do that on June 1st. They could come in and be in a hotel if they stayed
Yeah.
14 days.
Sarah, can I just point out here? I think it's because it said, that you can come here if you've completed the quarantine. You can stay here if you've completed the quarantine. And I think it made it sound in a way that you had to complete something before you got here. But when you get here, you stay the 14 days in your quarantine. It starts the day you come here and it's 14 days.
And it could be in a hotel or cottage or, right,
Right.
Yeah.
after June 1st.
Yes.
There were a few questions about the governor's ruling on quarantine, and I think a few people thought that that meant they were allowed to get essentials like groceries and medications and can walk and exercise. But I think maybe Leah, if you could just clarify that, if that's the
I'd be
case, or
I'd be happy to. I think it is confusing. I think what maybe people are conflating or mixing the two up are the stay-at-home order or the stay safer at home order, which is those folks, those of us who are here and aren't subject to the quarantine when coming into the state. We are allowed to engage in those essential activities, which include groceries, outdoor exercise. I'm reading some of the questions here. But that is, and I think Dr. Shaw in his press conference on Friday, as well as the FAQ I think John was talking about earlier, is that quarantine, the folks coming from out of state for their 14-day quarantine, that is a very separate and distinct concept than the stay-at-home order that everyone else is subject to, where we can go outside, do the exercise, have the essential activities. But John, correct me if I'm misstating what you had said, but the quarantine definition is very different.
It is very different. And I would urge everyone to go to the Maine CDC website and scroll down to the frequently asked questions, and it's right there with the explanation.
Leah, could you define residency for our purposes? Because I think a lot of people are confused or upset that they're not a resident just because they own property. It's not a term that we're using to create an us versus them. It's a legal term that is used.
Absolutely, and I don't have the statutory definition at my
Come on.
fingertips. I know I'm falling down on the job here. But bottom line is the concept of residency, as you say, Sean, is a legal definition. And it is fact specific. There are a bunch of different criteria that is looked at to determine residency. But the most, I think, frequently looked at things are, where do you claim your residence on your income taxes? Where do you register your car? Where do you vote? All of those kinds of things are incidents of residency, legally speaking. So it is absolutely, when you're looking at the governor's orders and reopening plan, that concept of residence isn't an us or them concept. It's a legally defined, basically the inquiry, as I said, is fact specific. And just because you own property does not mean you are a resident in the state or the town.
Thank you.
This we've gone over, but we're still getting a lot of questions on it. Whether or not people can complete less than a 14-day quarantine if they just come for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Whether or not they can do that, or if they need to adhere to the 14-day quarantine. There's a lot of questions on.
As of right now, it's 14 days. There is a lot of clarification being asked of the governor and the commissioner of economic community development on that point. So my guess is within a week or two, we will see some further clarification.
Okay. Next question. This was asked a lot of times. Are we going to get reimbursed for our seasonal fees because we are not allowed up to wells?
No.
How is it determined when the 14-day quarantine starts? And again, I know we went over this, but there are a lot of questions about how we will actually be enforcing that 14-day quarantine.
Well, we would hope that people would respect the idea behind the quarantine. It is to provide assurance to neighbors and to others in the state of Maine that you are not infected with the virus when you come into the state. The 14 days is a determination of length of time that you should have received or show signs of the virus. If you don't, then the quarantine is over after 14 days and you go on with your life.
On the topic of enforcement, is Wells going to enforce wearing masks in public, and is that an order?
I can.
Didn't think it was an order. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Oh,
it's part of the governor's order. It's not a local order, but part of the Stay Healthier at Home order, Safer at Home, sorry, does have a requirement for cloth face coverings. I would direct anybody who's interested to Executive Order number 49, can be found on the state of Maine's website, but it does require cloth face coverings anytime people go out into public settings, which include indoor spaces, grocery stores, retail stores, pharmacies, outdoor spaces, where the public typically gathers in a smaller area. And so even if you're outside, if those social distancing norms cannot be abided by, the expectation is that cloth face coverings will be worn.
When town hall reopens, anyone that comes into town hall will need to have a face mask.
Can I just say one thing to that, though? It's not nice to ostracize your neighbors if you see them in a parking lot not wearing a mask and put it online. It's just not a polite thing to do, and we should really try to stay away from that behavior. I've seen it a couple of times. I don't find that helpful at all. Just saying.
Next question, will there be an extension on the closing of seasonal cottages?
Yes, I say that with the backing of the Board of Selectmen, we'll be sponsoring a warrant article at the town meeting on July 14th to amend Chapter 145 to relax for a year's period the opening and closing of the seasonal cottages and lodging facilities.
Okay. Will we have antibody testing anytime soon?
I think that's a question for the governor.
CDC.
CDC. Yeah.
Right.
Next question, when will the proposed ordinance change concerning short-term rentals? Will that be a public hearing or will it be published somewhere? And if so, where can that be found?
It will be found on our website under public hearings on the Selectmen's page, and the hearing is next Tuesday night.
Okay, this question was directed to Leah. It's for clarification on phase 3. If out-of-state seasonal homeowners can or cannot visit their homes for weekends or long weekends, or if they are not able to stay for 2 weeks or more at a time. I think the question is looking just for a broad clarification. I know a couple other people were asking as well.
Sure, I think that was answered. We're talking about stage 3, Brittany, just to clarify.
Yes.
Again, I'm reading directly from the stage 3 opening language. It basically says that stage 3 maintains the prohibition on gatherings of more than 50 people and the 14-day quarantine on people entering Maine. And so if at this moment, I've been hearing scuttlebutt that they're trying to find ways to perhaps relax that 14-day quarantine come July and August. But as of this moment, right now, the black letter law is that the 14-day quarantine period does still apply in July and August during stage 3.
Great. There are a lot of repetitive questions here, some of which we've already answered. Mr. Chairman, you don't want me to get into those again. We can just share the link out after this. Is that a good approach? There's some non-COVID-19 questions, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, people can go back and review the tape. We've answered a lot of these questions, I think, multiple times over the last few weeks. So unless there's something new or something else.
But I got one more question that just for our lodging people, because I know it's going to be coming up. Especially our hotel owners. Could they rent this if somebody calls them and says, I want to come up for 21 days, June 1st to the 21st or June 2nd to the 22nd. That's fine because they're going to be in a 14-day quarantine, then they could stay for after that, right? I mean, they can, because as long as it's not for shorter than 14 days, they can do it, right?
I agree with that, Tim.
Okay.
As of June 1st, we're saying.
June 1st.
Yes.
And I actually had somebody ask me a question direct I just wanted to address. I didn't wade into whether or not, it's appropriate to wear masks, this and that. I'm not a CDC person. I'm not a virologist. What I said was it's not nice to ostracize your neighbors. They could have a breathing condition. They could have any number of things going on. Maybe they forgot it. And if it's in the middle of a vacant parking lot, like I said, and there's no one around, then they're adhering to social distancing guidelines. What I was speaking against was ostracizing each other, not for or against masks or anything of that nature. So just wanted to clarify that for the person that asked.
Just one last
Carl,
question.
I believe Carol's online, and there is a question that before she goes offline, there is a question pertaining to Swamp John that I believe you'd want her to answer.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
have
I've got a
what's-
couple non-COVID questions lined up, but there are a few more that came in. Do you want me to read those now or go to the Swamp John question?
Oh, well, we have Carol. Carol, if you're on, Brittany, question, I guess.
Yep, I'm
Yep,
here.
it was just, the question was just what is being done about Swamp John? It needs to be graded, and the dust from the road is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is dusty, and so are all the gravel roads in town, unfortunately. We will treat them with calcium chloride. Now that we can actually unequip the trucks for winter, we can do that and start getting calcium chloride out there. I can't tell you exactly when because we've got a lot of work to do to get the beaches ready to go for May 11th, but it will be shortly. It does need to be regraded. It's not awful yet, but it's going to be if we continue to have this rain. If it gets impassable, and I do want to say that I travel it once a day, so if I start worrying about the condition of my car, trust me, it will get graded. And I do have sympathy for everyone that uses that road. It's better than it was last year, and it's hard to remember that, but the paved road was not great. Hopefully, we will be in a position after town meeting to have some money to go forward and treat that road properly. Put the drainage in, do it correctly, and walk away with you having a good road for 7 to 10 years.
Well, and Carol, real quick, this isn't just a paving project, correct? Could you just elaborate on that a little further?
Correct. It's not just a paving project. That's been tried at least twice that I know of, that you just go in and make it black. You'd be better off doing that with a can of black paint and a paintbrush, because if you don't structurally fix what's underneath that road, whatever you put in the surface is not going to last. And that's what was done. It's kind of a Band-Aid on a lost limb. This project will reconstruct that road from the old ground, in other words, from side to side, all the way up through, put the proper free draining materials in there underneath the pavement with adequate drainage on the bottom. So we'll end up with a good road that's serviceable, that's designed for a service life of a lot more than just a year or two.
And because the road is under construction right now, we had a discussion with the police chief between Carol and I. We're going to reduce the speed on that road from 35 to 25.
And it is now posted that way. We posted it early this afternoon.
Okay, Carol, while we have you on, would you reiterate the issue on Webb Hannett and the 23,000 pound restriction down by the Wells Beach Lobster Pound, so we can get the word out on that as well?
Sure. The first thing I want to emphasize is we wouldn't allow you to travel there if it was unsafe. It is safe. It is prudent to keep it open for reduced weight traffic. The problem with the heavy loads is you can get impact loading. If you hit a little bit of a bump, you come down hard, that's an impact load, and that reverberates through the soil and would actually affect those sheets. You can also get vibration. It's called harmonic vibration that gets set up by vehicles, especially heavy vehicles. And again, that will affect the sheets. So it's safe for passenger cars. It's safe to walk. It's safe to bike. If it wasn't, we'd close the road. We have a structural engineer on board working with us. And he actually will be meeting with us here with the fire chief and I to talk about how the wall was damaged in the March storms. We have to mount a case with FEMA, I guess. But it is safe. I want to be clear about that.
Great, thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
I think it's prudent for everyone to know that the direction that we all have to, as a board and the town, we have to file and listen to the executive order that comes from the governor. And a lot of this stuff has come to us, and we've had just as many questions as you've had, because the rules have changed on a daily basis as of late. So I hope everyone understands that, you know, everyone's safety in town, all our visitors that are here, that are still not here and coming, from the workers that are going to be working at the restaurants when they open, in the hotels and everywhere. Safety is priority number one. We are doing the best we can with the information that we have. This isn't a weekly meeting that we have. I want you to know that, you know, I'm talking with everyone on the board and the town manager and the attorney, and we're doing this on a daily basis because things are changing almost that quickly. So as frustrating as it is for you, I want you to know that safety is priority number one. We're hopeful that the governor can relax some of the restrictions, but you know, the social distancing and doing the right thing, again, I can't stress that enough for people who are here and for people who are coming, that the social distancing and all the proper safety things with masks and whatnot is priority number one for every individual. So I hope you appreciate the job that everyone is doing. And I want to thank the fellow board members, because I deal with you guys on a daily basis, and I want to thank you for the time that all of you guys are putting in between the research and the hours and the things like you're doing, Sean, with your wife-to-be, with the basket raffle to help businesses. And some of the meeting time, you know, we are talking about the businesses and what we can do, if anything, that we're trying to influence the governor to help our local businesses. So there's an awful lot that we don't necessarily cover on the meetings, but I wanted everyone to know behind the scenes what's going on and the work that's being put forth to try to make this as healthy and safe for everyone as it can possibly be.
Could I just say thanks, Carl, too? But on that note about we have a letter from many of the area restaurants that we are going to forward to the governor with a request that she rule on how we can do some outside dining. It came to us from a few of the restaurant owners that talked to us, and a safe way that we can do outside dining, meaning I think across the state, not just Wells, but we only control what we can do in Wells, well, sort of. And so we would like to forward that to the governor with the hope of some answer. That the letter they wrote, it's supported. I don't want to speak for the whole board. That's not fair. It's supported by me, and I'm sure the other board members could say if they support it. But we'll be sending that. John will be sending the letters, so to speak, the signed letters up to the governor tomorrow morning. So we're listening to you. We can't make that decision. It's not our decision to make, unfortunately. But we are listening. We're trying to help you in any way we can.
I will be signing that letter just to put that out there.
I think we're all going to be signing it, aren't we?
I don't think we have to sign. I think we just gotta say
Virtually, you're signing it. I'm signing it for you.
he signed it
Oh,
for us
thank
all.
you. Thank you, John. Yeah.
Sean, there was a
Anything else
question
while
I
we're
saw
still open
earlier.
to the public?
Yes.
Sean,
Joanne
people
has
there are a few
can get tickets for the raffle.
What was that, John? Say it again.
People want to know how they can get tickets for the raffle.
So we're working on setting that up right now. We literally just released this event
Okay.
over the weekend. We're going to have an info night Friday where all will be revealed. I'll post in the comment section of the Facebook Live the
Perfect.
link to our Facebook page. and all questions will be answered on Friday. But it's going to be very easy to participate. It's going to be a lot of fun too. So hopefully we'll raise a lot of money for our local businesses.
Great idea.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a list of questions that are non-COVID related. So want me to run through those?
Please.
Okay, there are just a few more that came in that I think we should address that do relate to COVID beforehand. One is, what criteria will be used to prove residency for someone who has moved to Wells during the pandemic, as the Department of Motor Vehicles is closed and I cannot get a new license or registration?
Want me to field that one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there are many incidents of residency, proof of residency that are not a driver's license. For example, if you have a deed to the property, if you have a lease to the property, if you have electric bills, utility bills for the property, if you are using that address to establish your residency, then, like I said, hopefully you have a lease or a deed or some other kind of thing that shows you live there.
Okay. Are lifeguards essential workers, and is the town hiring for lifeguard positions?
The lifeguards are essential. We are hiring. We do have a lot of returnees from last year. And the fire department is overseeing that. So the employment application is on the website, and I encourage people to fill it out and send it in.
Chief Dupuy, do you have anything to add on that?
No, just that right now we have quite a few that are returning. Like you said, we have our only concern with anybody coming in new right now is we're just trying to make sure that we have places to get the training done. So if we can get these new employees trained, in other words, that we can go to a place that we can put a group of people together, then that'll solve that problem, and we might be able to add those personnel to the ranks. If not, we're going to deal with the ones that we have and hopefully move forward without any too much issue. But right now, we're hoping to be able to add some more.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
A few questions came in about when stores can open. One is an antique store. I think another were some beachfront stores.
I can answer that. According to the reopening plan, it says that all retail businesses are eligible to open come June 1st. But again, I think it bears emphasis that in order to do that, all requirements for social distancing, et cetera, need to be followed. My understanding is that the Department of Economic Development has or will soon have checklists for various types of businesses that are guidelines that are helpful to set up protocols to ensure that those safety standards are being met.
Thank you. Now on to some non-COVID-19 questions. First question, can you buy a saltwater fishing license at the town hall?
Aren't fishing licenses waived right now, or was that?
Yeah. They're available from the town clerk, and I would check to see if you can do it online.
Next question, where can I get an absentee ballot?
You can get an absentee ballot by filing the application that is online or through the Secretary of State, and it will come directly to the town clerk in Wells.
Next question, can I mail a check in for the beach parking pass?
There's a separate page on the website, www.wellstown.org, where the beach sticker program is highlighted. There are instructions there by mail. And so if you go to the website and you still have questions, give us a call.
Next question, is there a status update on the traffic light at the intersection of Branch Road and 109?
The The planning design for that traffic light is due this year. And the contract for, or the bid for the contract to undertake the work is late this year, early next year.
Okay. Next question. Did they ever turn the green arrow traffic light at Sanford and Chapel to face the appropriate way?
No.
Some questions on Ogunquit beach stickers and whether or not that's a whole different.
Yeah,
That's a whole different animal.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole different process down there.
Okay.
We could answer that back in 1981, but then they split from us. So.
All right. I think that that's everything. I'm just doing one final look through.
I think it's just something I'd like to kind of bring up. I just wanted to applaud the board here for all the weeks of listening to these questions, answering them over and over again. I want to applaud the department heads and everybody who's doing such good work, all the employees who's been pulling through and all this stuff. I just think it's amazing to see the leadership that's going on here, and I don't want that to get lost, which I think it does lots of times. It gets lost in the jumble and in the noise of all of the questions and all of these issues that are going on. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood. We appreciate you guys taking care of everything that you guys are doing, and wanted to thank you for that. And I just think it's worth the town and the citizens to realize what they have for leaders here. Thought it was worth mentioning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep. I think that's everything.
Carl, could I just say one last? Or
Yep, go ahead.
Probably not
We're
one
still
last
open
thing.
to the public.
We're still in that us versus them theme, and I hate that theme because it's not us versus them. We don't dislike Massachusetts people, New Hampshire people, New York people. Some of you dislike New York people. I'm a New York person. I got my Jet shirt on. You know, you don't like me today because I got my Jet shirt on. I get it. But the idea behind us not liking you or not want is totally false. Some of us are scared. Some of us feel great and think we should open. Those are the difference. I loved what George Bush said this week. I loved what he said. He said, let's remember how small our differences are in the face of this shared threat. In the final analysis, we are partisan combatants. We are human beings, equally vulnerable and equally wonderful in the sight of God. We rise or fall together. It's exactly what we should be thinking about. We're not in this to diss you or to not like you or not anything like that. We're following orders that are put forward to us. And that's all we could do. We're elected officials that have to do that. We don't have a choice. Joanne Putnam has to enforce the rules. That's just what we do. Sometimes when you get pulled over for speeding, you're mad at the cop. It was you speeding. You know what I mean? You're mad at the police officer. It's their job to do that. Understand this is our job, you know, and we all have a job to do. And whether we agree or disagree, that doesn't matter right now. We got to follow the rules, and we're trying hard to help you, everyone, as much as we can. Listen to George Bush's speech sometime.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Anything else while we're open to the public for anyone? If not, John, do you have anything else under town manager's report to add?
No.
Anything else from the board? Well, again, thank you for the efforts and the continued efforts that I know we'll be talking again within short periods of time, probably, right, Kath? 7:15 it usually starts.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
5-0. Thank you. Good night. Stay safe. Stay well. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Good night.